Beat my brother-in-law half to death. Lost $20 on his football bet. But other than that, we ain't nothing, just good old boys.
Hey, good morning. Welcome to the Wade and Carter Show, live from the South Texas TV studio.
Good morning.
I'm Wade. He's the Carter. How are y'all? How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Very, very, very good this morning.
Good.
Don't know why we talked about it on the way in. Tuesdays are a rough day, and I don't know why. It used to be there was nothing to talk about on Tuesday, but since Joe Biden is an equal opportunity offender, there's always something to talk about now. But driving in this morning, I realized, and I want to give you guys hope, I realized that I felt tired, although I know I was fairly well rested. Dawn and I went to bed fairly early last night. I mean, I think I was asleep before 10.
Nice. I wasn't. But. Yeah.
So we got this Sleep Number bed, and I will admit two things. You haven't heard me complain about my hips.
No.
My hips don't hurt anymore.
Your hips don't lie.
And I just get up twice a night now. I used to get up about every hour and a half, and I think I had restless sleep for too soft, too hard, whatever the mattress was. Now I've got it dialed in. And the other day, so I was on a 40. It's a little bedtime with Brent here. I was on a 40, and I thought, I'm going to make it one click firmer. Because when I lay down, I like it almost feeling like plywood, right? I mean, I like it hard. But stop. Don't even, you had that smirk.
Yep.
And it's a family show.
I know. That's why I didn't say anything.
And I pushed it up to 45, and the next day I pushed it up to 50, and my hips started hurting again. True story. I lay on my side, and I think all the weight is on the bed's not giving, and all the weight's on that pressure point.
So it is. You don't like it hard.
My body
doesn't.
doesn't. I like it a little softer, a
There you go.
little more flaccid,
There you go.
if you will. Yes.
You got the Wade and Carter weather brought to you by the fine folks at AT Deerland Hay Feed and Ranch Services. Stopped by yesterday, picked up some sweet feed for the cows. They were loving it. But yeah, they loaded up. You don't even have to pick up a heavy bag, 50-pound bag. You don't have to do the heavy lifting when you go to Deerland Feed.
56 degrees in Victoria, heading to a high today of 71 under mostly sunny skies.
Nice.
Should be
Nice
a
break, yeah. Days like yesterday just...
San Diego, dead of winter.
I do not like days like yesterday. That drizzle and the dreariness, it just puts me in a funk. Roy Gutierrez, good morning. Tommy Kingston, good morning.
Hello, Tommy K. Saw Tommy Kingston in a Navy uniform the other day on Veterans Day. What a handsome young man.
Scott Tomko, Marvin Mickus, Casey Lynn Kemp, Jordan Glass, Judge Posey, good morning. Rena Scherer, Scott Snow, Matt Boucher, Tammy Keeling, Bobby Leister, Junior Samples, Kendra Douglas, Scott Tomko. He says we all had that smirk. Diane Tippett, good morning. Jarrett McCrugan, Tommy Kingston. It says they've got a hunt for... They've got a hunt for a child in Wisconsin. They're not hunting for a child in Wisconsin. They're taking a kid to Wisconsin to go hunting. Nice. End of this month.
I was like, where do they get that kid? They catch him at the border, catch and release?
He says it has to be a kid who hasn't hunted and has cancer or has been in remission for 3 to 6 months. So they're looking for a kid.
Oh,
so
good.
If anybody knows anybody.
Great experience. The Beverly Woods Foundation, hunting and fishing for kids. Tommy Kingston will take these kids.
No cost.
No, nothing. I mean, all the way down to the snacks in the airport. Yep. The foundation pays for everything. No, don't let any money worries keep you from promoting a child for this event because it's totally paid for by people like you. Good morning, Mom. There's my mom checking in.
There's your mom checking in. Good morning, Mom.
So they completely pay for everything. And they'll take this child up to, where is it? To Colorado? Wisconsin.
Nice.
There you go. Shoot a buck with a side of cheese and come home.
There you go. Get some cheese curds. Karen Lee Webb. Good morning, Karen Webb. Amanda Smith King. So there's Tommy's number if you want to give him a call.
361-645-4743.
So scary moment last night for a lot of students at the VC and UHV shared campuses. A lot of parents with it, having some concerns, obviously. But there was a shooting on the VC campus yesterday near continuing ed building.
Yeah, was it in the building?
I think it was in the parking lot. I don't know where the shooting was. They found the guy in the parking lot. Let me get the information that we had.
Wounded and in the park. I sent you the
I've got it here.
Press release from our own David Brogger from VPD.
About 7 o'clock yesterday, police responded to a shooting on the Victoria College Continuing Ed Center. Upon officers' arrival, a 30-year-old male was in the parking lot with an apparent gunshot wound, transported to an area hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. The suspect fled the area. Police then cleared all the buildings and accompanied students and others that were in those buildings to their vehicles as they secured the campus. Victoria College will be closed today. As a result,
So Roy Gutierrez adds, it's a shame the Victoria Advocate posted yesterday's event about the college and you weren't able to read it unless you are a subscriber. My initial reaction is to say, well, that's their product. They want you to pay for their product. But I'll go back to the beginning of the newspaper and where that all comes from. In an ideal world, the subscribers, the people that actually get the physical newspaper, they just pay for the paper and the cost to print it. The money is made by the newspaper company by selling advertising.
yes.
So you open it up and there's a beautiful Chestnuts ad in there. There was a Chestnuts ad in there all my life. And that ad goes to pay for the newspaper. Whereas you pay, at the time, it was 25 cents. And that's what it cost to print and distribute your copy. And that was, in that regard, it was almost as if you were part of a co-op. The news was important to everybody. Everybody wanted the news. So at one time, some places had 2 newspapers a day.
Yeah, morning and afternoon edition.
And it wasn't, they didn't make money. Now, here's the deal. The reason I get a little bent with pay online services that advertise, they reach out and grab you. We're shooting at Victoria, and you go and click on it, and they want you to subscribe. The reason I have a problem with that is it costs them that much to let you read it. It costs them nothing to let you read it. And they still have advertisers. But they've got a failed model, and their news is so... Well, their newspapers in general are often so,
Some are managing to do the subscription thing online without many issues. But it's no different than you would have had to buy the paper to read the story.
Right.
Unless you just read it at the checkout stand at the like when you used to read the Weekly World News in line.
That's true.
For your groceries, right? That would have been the only alternative. It hasn't changed.
Can you imagine if you dialed into Facebook in the morning and we said, oh, by the way, we have a great show for you this morning. Please send us $5 a week.
But there's the problem.
We don't do that.
The newspapers, when they first went online, provided everything for free. Because they failed to grasp that
was
the traditional model was going away. They didn't understand that. If they would have just started with the online subscription right from the get-go, people probably wouldn't have had an issue with it. But the fact that they provided that same information that you could get via the newspaper, the physical copy, for free for so many years, now people have an issue paying for it online.
Junior Sample says, the Advocate is such a liberal rag, I'm surprised it's still around. That is true, but most newspapers are liberal, and most universities are liberal, and there's a part of me as I get older, and I don't articulate it well, I almost at the university level appreciate the idealism, the teaching of life in a vacuum, so that if you also incorporate some critical thinking into that, kids, students can learn that, well, ideally, we'd all work together for the common good. But in reality, it doesn't work that way. So here's why I need to do A, B, and C so I can survive in the real world. That's what the University of Texas did for me. I went up there, they talked in utopian concepts. They didn't talk about communism, but if you're not careful, that's about what it was. I mean, as I've gotten older, it was like, well, if we all pull together and if we all work for the same company, we could all, it's like a big commune of love. And that doesn't work, So at the end of the day, You got to figure out why it doesn't work and then figure out how you can capitalize on it. But the problem you're going to find, and Junior says, I'm surprised the Advocate's still around. It's really not. I think they print
3 days a week.
3 days a week.
His paper only comes out Wednesdays, Fridays, and Saturdays.
And at the end of the day, see, there's not even a Sunday paper anymore.
Isn't there?
No.
Oh, I had no idea.
So at the end of the day, one of these days, and it won't be long.
Well, they got rid of their managing editor.
It'll be. This is the world. You know, the state's second oldest newspaper calls it quits. Yeah. And everybody will bemoan what a sad day it was. And it's purely a result of their content and their biases.
But, I mean, a harrowing incident last night in Victoria. I mean, it wasn't a mass shooting. I'm pretty sure this was an isolated incident. I'll speculate, but I'm pretty sure the shooter knew who he was shooting.
Oh, yeah. This was somebody was upset with somebody, found him in that parking lot and shot him. Yeah, this was not like a random mugging or something like that. This was trouble in River City. That's what that was. Good morning, Kerry Bump.
Joe Cheney checking in. Chris Sheree Brissett. That's Sheree. We know that.
Yeah, that's Sheree.
Yeah.
Sure.
Good morning.
Chris sleeping.
So, Victoria College canceled classes today. Will be closed in the wake of the shooting last evening. They said just because people probably having a hard time dealing with it, so they've decided to cancel classes for today. The suspect fled. I've not heard whether or not they caught the shooter, but
they will.
They will.
They
absolutely, because they know. The guy who got shot probably knows.
Yeah, the guy who got shot, as far as I understood, was stable.
Yeah, and my understanding was a Victoria College student, according to what I had seen. So, but you pointed out this morning as we were talking before the show, how, and let's be honest, if it doesn't happen on a college campus, the Daily Mail in the UK is not picking up this story.
Right.
Because we've had shootings in this town, and they have not been picked up by anybody. Remember the one where somebody's family went looking for somebody else's family members that dissed them earlier and shot at them over by Ben Jordan and Lone Tree, somewhere around there? There was no coverage in the Daily Mail out of the UK on this. This only got coverage across the country. Last night, this was being reported in various news outlets across the country and around the world because it happened on a school or college campus. There's an agenda that the media is trying to push, and this is part of it.
So we just told you what happened, right? Guy walks out of school, walks over towards his car. Guy comes up and shoots him. Guy gets in his car and drives off. Texas police hunt for gunman who shot a 30-year-old man on campus of Victoria College. Lockdown lifted after students were told to shelter in place for hours.
It was roughly 2 hours.
David Brogger's picture right there. Police in Texas are on the hunt for a gunman who shot a mature student on the campus of Victoria College in Texas, southeast of San Antonio, on Monday night. So that's how national it is. They're going
to turn international.
Turning it into, southeast of San Antonio. The alert was raised shortly after 7:05. Law enforcement discovered a 30-year-old man in the parking lot with gunshot wounds and was taken to the hospital. The way that the alarm was raised just after 7:05. Lock the doors and remain inside. We must create panic. We must collect all the firearms. Somebody get the pistols.
And I think by 9:17 they had lifted the lockdown. So it was 2 hours, which I guess you could argue is hours, but they make it sound like the students were there almost all night, right? That headline. But
Tammy Keeling says, talking about the Advocates shutting down, if that happened, who do you think would cover Victoria? Port Lavaca? Chronicle? Will they get local school sports, etc.? No, nobody will cover it.
Well, so Hanson says the hospital was on lockdown too.
We would cover it. I mean, Wade and Carter covers what's important. We made a commitment a long time ago because we don't want to spend all day going, Miss Keeling's son, Billy, caught a touchdown pass as St. Joe slipped by Incarnate Word because nobody really cares. I mean, I'm sorry. Nobody cares about East, West. Nobody really cares. The Advocate had for a long time, Mike Foreman's a great writer. He's really a very, very good writer.
And prayers and thoughts of healing to Mike. He got in an accident on the weekend covering high school football and was pretty beat up.
Did he get run over?
I don't know. No, I don't know exactly what
Maybe
happened. It was a car wreck. And, he had, I think, broken clavicle and cut some bruises from the glass. So, yeah, just
he's no kid either.
No.
But Mike Foreman is a very dutiful, in the old school sense of the word, the Dan Cooks. He's a writer.
Excellent writer.
He's an excellent writer and really deserves better than the VA. But at the same time,
look, we're huge in New York City today.
We are big in New York City. Good morning. I think you'll, if there's a niche, if there's a way for somebody to make a buck, maybe you end up with the Wade and Carter weekly sports update where we do a podcast and go out and interview coaches and actually tell you what's going on. The problem with Victoria Sports is, and I don't want to get down this rabbit hole except just to tell you the truth, it's just not that big a deal. We're just not that good at anything that anybody really wants to talk about it.
Although East is, 2 rounds deep into the playoffs now?
Yeah, for the first time ever. So, you find yourself being like, well, if we were Shiner or Hallettsville, that'd be one. Katie Taylor, that'd be one thing, but we're just not. There's no buzz in town. The stadium's always empty. You find yourself going, there's no demand. There's Mark and Melissa Hanson.
Just Melissa.
Melissa.
Johnny Houghton says the Daily Mail would run out of paper if they reported on every shooting in Chicago. Yeah,
that's right.
That's exactly it.
That's exactly right. But it's news. Here's why. Here's why it's news.
School campus.
School campus in Texas. Yep. Republican-run state. That's why it's news. Those Republicans are letting kids get shot again. That's exactly why it's in the Daily Mail. 100%. What's Governor Abbott going to do? This is just a stone's throw from San Antonio.
He better ban bump stocks.
He better do something. Let's find out what kind of weapon was used, and then we can kill everybody who wants to have one.
Tammy says sports was an example. Yeah, but
sports is a good example.
But did anybody go to the Advocate last night to try to find out what was going on?
No. Did you go to the Advocate webpage last night to see what was going on?
I think most people were on Facebook.
Sure. Not to mention, the Advocate would get their news from the Daily Mail, and the next thing you know, we think that it was a wholesale slaughter at VC.
Adam Sugar says if we built a new stadium, people would come to Victoria games.
Well, we've talked about that. I think if you build it, they will come, but at the same time, you can see what the Aggies have done with that. They built a $600 million stadium. They're still 5-4. I think what you do is you build a good program, which I think the coaches that are in place now, I think both Coach Boyce and Coach Reeve can do that. I mean, I'm not telling you that me and Ash don't keep up with local sports. We just don't talk about it here because there's no demand for it.
Well, that's all we would end up talking about, to be honest. I mean, because the minute you mention one school and don't mention another.
They didn't talk enough about West. No.
So,
yeah, that's what would happen. And there is no separate but equal. Don't kid yourself.
So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see if they how the investigation of the shooting yesterday plays out. But I won't speculate on anything other than the fact that I'm pretty sure the two knew each other.
Mm-hmm.
Jordan Glass says Crossroads today is free and better. Tom Price, good morning.
I will tell you this. I'm going to do something.
Casey Lynn Camp. Here's the problem. Here's the problem with those things. Might have been live. What info was coming in? People there, people talking about it. There's no official word from anybody. It's people speculating. I mean, this is how the initial rumors of multiple people were killed. Because even the Daily Mail at one time, when you showed me this, reported that there were at least 2 people killed.
At least 2 dead. Now, where'd they get that? One guy was laying in the parking lot.
Yeah, where'd they get that?
At least 2 dead. It's a mass shooting in Texas.
Yeah. This is the problem when people go live from a scene and don't know anything and don't have journalistic training. They just start speculating on the things that they've heard.
That's right. And Tammy Keeling says journalistic standards. It is interesting, because it's funny. As someone who's been a victim, both on the of them operating in ignorance and of them operating
with malice.
Yeah. I've been a victim of the Victoria Advocate, and they're really, really weak.
Former leadership. Good point. Former leadership.
I've been a victim, although I refuse to be a victim. See, what I did is got a radio program and berated them because I said, you've bit the wrong dog. Shouldn't have messed with this one. That's part of one of the impetus of this program was I was tired of the Advocates' total inaccuracies and their total lack of journalistic integrity. But it is interesting that I know for a fact, because I know two people, I know many more, but I've spoken to two people that were at a meeting at the Advocate about 2 weeks ago. And, you'll hear Bill Posey, our predecessor, if you will, was a preceder. The guy that comes on before us. I've heard Bill Posey talk with, for example, Mike Gomez, who's a editorial writer for The Advocate. I think does a good job.
Blogger.
Fills their niche that they want filled over there. And in this meeting at the Victoria Advocate, confirmed by two sources that will remain nameless, although I know them both well. One of them called me, and I called the other one to confirm what I had heard. It was uttered in their meeting. They didn't have the cojones to mention Bill Posey, certainly not to mention Wade and Carter. But they said, well, there's a radio program here in town, and they're talking about Bill Posey, who runs fast and loose with some of the facts and doesn't.
Articles that we write.
They take the articles we write and they question them and blah, 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 and they don't have the journalistic standards that we have. And there was a chuckle in the room because their journalistic standards, it's humor. It's humorous to me. There's a bunch of kids over there writing articles.
But they seem to have not really understood Bill Posey. If he's reading the Advocate stories and then commenting, that's what he does. It's an opinion-based show. Nobody would tune in.
If you've got Mike Gomez as one of your lead editorial writers, you have a real problem talking about journalistic integrity. Yeah. Scott Tomko says the one thing the Victoria Advocate did, it got us a radio show to listen to. There's no doubt about it. Anytime anybody wants to come at me about the Victoria Advocate, I've got a file that thick of all the things that I can show you that they have done through the years that are just wrong.
Tammy Keeling says, reading without sourcing? Who?
Oh, no, he mentions
he mentions the Advocate and mentions Mike Gomez for sure.
Is Tammy Keeling trying to be an antagonist with us? I mean, you won't win this one, Tammy. No. At the end of the day, Bill Posey always says, this is in today's Advocate. This is here. This is there.
This is in the Epic Times.
The Advocate's a terrible, terrible, terrible newspaper. It cannot go away quick enough.
Not always. Most times he does.
Well, if he doesn't, you know where it's coming from.
Well, but a lot of times you read so many sources to piece together the information. There isn't one source.
I'll tell you this, and stop me if I'm wrong.
And I'll be honest. Newspapers have run lots of things that are sent to them, and they change a couple of words and add a byline, and they pass it off as their own when it's almost word for word written by somebody else. So newspapers aren't the...
Greg Garcia says you have to have journalistic standards to call out someone else's journalistic standards. He goes, you guys are above reproach. Tammy says Carter doesn't always source. What would I not source? What are we talking about? I don't know.
Things we talk about?
I'd have to have an example. I'm not saying that I'm flawless in that. I'm not a journalist by trade. If I say I read something somewhere and here's what I gathered from it, I don't think I have to source that. Now, if I read something, quote,
verbatim,
then
absolutely.
I need to say, then that we learned that from Joe Biden, right? Otherwise, you're plagiarizing. But I'll put my untrained journalistic integrity up against anything at the Advocate anytime. And I'll also tell you, I can't remember the last time. It's been years since you and I used the Victoria Advocate as a source for anything. Number one, they're 3 days late. And there's nothing happening.
Adam Sugar says y'all are not above reproach.
No, nobody's above reproach. I agree with that, Adam.
No, Greg Garcia said that. We didn't say that.
Right. One of our many fans, one of our legion of fans said that. And by the way, Adam, they're on their way to your home.
Katina Arterberry, good morning. Christina Wise checking in. So let's take a break because we got to thank our sponsors yesterday because we had Sheriff A.J. Lauder back on, who's running for Texas District 30 representative, and we did not get all our breaks in because we felt it was more important to discuss the candidacy and the issues.
And it was. And all of our sponsors understand this. They all appreciate it.
It doesn't happen often, but when it does, we certainly recognize and appreciate the sponsors who understand that.
Folks, Wind Services, for all your generator needs, Wind Services can come to your home, give you an estimate, stand by that estimate, and give you a turnkey generator experience. They'll come out, they'll do the trenching, they'll lay the pipe, they'll lay the conduit, they'll connect the wires, they'll connect the propane or natural gas, diesel, whatever you want to run the generator on. They'll make sure it's all jetted right. They'll test it. It'll test itself.
Every month.
It is a turnkey system. And then they'll warranty it. Reach out to Wind Services today for whether you want Generac, Kohler, Cummins, Briggs & Stratton, whatever you want. Reach out to them. USA Concrete Coating, 578 Home, the Singing Cowboy, Charlie Garcia. They put down a...
Tough as nails. Polyurethane.
Well, it's polyurethane, but they on the ball game the other day, they talked about a polyurea coating, and I thought, polyurea, that sounds like something somebody might have caught in college. I was going to go to the prom, but I had polyurea. Had to get some antibiotics for that.
That's not good.
It's not good.
No, but it is good.
Reach out to USA Concrete Coating. They do a fantastic job. They have a myriad of examples on their website.
Big words this Tuesday morning.
Words. It's the word of the day.
Big word Tuesday.
Plethora. They have a plethora of panaceic options for you.
Have a Trash-tastic Tuesday with White Trash Services, 361-550-1826. Give them a call for all your trash collection needs in Victoria County. 6 contiguous counties, Lake McQueen, Reno, Lake Tahoe, Nevada, soon to be Vegas.
Goes on and on and on.
Goes on and on. But weekly pickup, whether you need dumpsters, just a roll-off, curbside cart, roll-offs, demolition services, they've got you covered basically from start to finish. If you're demoing something and all your trash needs, White Trash, awesome folks.
Paravita Wellness offering you an opportunity to stand your ground.
Merry Fitness.
Yep. Stand your grounds during the holidays.
Their goals aren't crazy. They just want you not to. They basically want you to break even this holiday season.
I had last night. I went by and picked. Did you pick up your meals?
I did.
Yesterday?
Yes,
I picked mine up.
I had the pork medallions with sweet potatoes and green beans, and it was so good.
I had an herb-crusted mahi on a bed of it was quinoa, I think. It was a rice substitute, and it came with broccoli, I think. But listen,
I think that's on my menu tonight.
So if you eat it, because the couscous or the quinoa or the rice, whatever it was, had just a hint of butter in it.
Okay.
Really jumped out and grabbed me. The food is fantastic. Now, I admit, when I go and buy these pre-cooked meals, I always cook the fish dish first, so I don't store that very long. What did Tim? To your credit, you did correct yourself when you were reading from Texas Tribune, and I asked for a source.
I think that was on. Was that on the propositions? I think we had 2 sources going at that time: the Texas Scorecard and the Texas Tribune.
Right. Well, I appreciate.
We try.
To my credit,
we
yes.
try.
See,
Daniel Wade White.
Go.
Yeah,
there you go. Polyurea is what happens in the urinal at Riverside. You're right, Daniel Wade White. You know that stainless steel urinal has been in that bathroom
trough,
all my life. I mean, I'm like, Bob Feller peed here.
I miss the ones that go all the way to the floor.
Do you? But then and no matter what tile is there, it's always stained.
But you know what? It doesn't matter. The ones on the wall that hang, people miss those.
Sure.
But anyway, we don't need.
And why is it that people don't do that at home, but they do it at like a gas station? They go, they write their name on the wall.
Yeah, I don't know. They think it's snow, I guess. I don't know. That was a rite of passage growing up north. You had to learn to write your name in the snow.
So I joke. I've got a great friend.
And if you were a girl and could do it, you had lots of talent.
Great friend named Manny Vella. Much more educated than me. He's an attorney. He's a Democrat. That's okay. I think that goes without saying. He's an attorney. He's a Democrat. That's redundant. But he, super nice guy.
Steve Kidder might take issue with that.
And he always jokes about, his last name's Vela. He says, I'll never be brown enough for my people. I'll never be white enough for yours. We joke about all kinds of things. And when I was fishing with Manny once, he goes, Carl, you got to admit, at the end of the day, we're all the same. We're all the same. He goes, there's nothing different between the gringos and the Hispanics. And I said, I beg to differ. I'm sorry, man. I got to bust you on this one. He goes, what? I said, I ain't ever known a white dude ever went to the bathroom, wiped his butt, wiped it on the wall, and put it in the trash can. I said, it just doesn't happen. He goes, all right, you got me there. You got me there. I don't know why we do that on the road. We wipe, smear, and then dispose of.
I don't know a white person that can make good tortillas.
I've never had a white kid make a good tortilla. Steve Kidder's is not so.
Yeah.
But Steve's more of an independent. He's a critical thinker. And a Texans fan.
Well, there's the problem.
Okay, here you are. I'm going to put you on the spot.
Please do.
C.J. Stroud or Dak Prescott? I'm not talking about upside. I'm not talking about future. I mean, would you rather put
Dak.
Stroud? Would you really?
I'm taking Dak.
Okay, I'm with you. I am with you on that one.
Let's see. We talked about the VC shooting. Nothing new has come in as far as we know. So, but when we do get something, we will pass it along.
The key takeaway for you folks is the agenda. The agenda is this will be news. It will be dubbed another school shooting in a conservative gun-toting state. So just be mentally ready for that BS as it comes across your plate.
But if it doesn't happen on a slow news Monday night on a college campus, if this happened at 3 blocks from campus,
they wouldn't say
it wouldn't. There
another
wouldn't,
shooting at Szechuan Garden.
No, there's nothing. No, nothing. It's not even being covered.
No, it's not covered. Let's take a second to say good morning to our friend Jim Hartman. Yep. Jim Hartman, good morning. The patriarch, I guess now, as opposed to just being the head chef and bottle washer, he is the man at VCS Companies, the forethought, the guy that helped the concept of the only locally owned and authorized AT&T retailer, and the daddy of the guy that runs Rocket Oilfield Services. Mr. Hartman's been a great, tremendous, invaluable friend of this program.
And of this community.
They provided the Jumbotron behind us that we're learning how to use. It's got a lot more capabilities than we do.
The learning curve is like this, but we've tried to make it flat.
We stayed
2 weeks to flatten the curve on that thing.
We stayed out of the book for 2 weeks, and we flattened the learning curve on that. The VCS Companies, for all your communication needs, whether you need a ranch radio or you need body cams for all your sheriff's deputies, they do it all. Reach out to the VCS Companies today.
Allen's Wrecker Service, 361-578-6300. Give Allen a call for all your towing needs. Saw an Allen's truck yesterday. Had a, this time not a pickup on it, had a car on it, but I've seen mostly pickups the last couple of weeks when I've seen Allen's running around, but this one was just a four-door sedan. Import variety, but I'm not going to talk about it.
That big Bulldog 75-ton crane truck dragging an 18-wheeler the other day and just dragging it like you would drag a Yugo. It was just, it was not even a puff of black smoke coming out of it. It was just good to go.
A lot of torque in that engine.
There's lots at Allen's Wrecker Service. Chestnut Furniture for over 100 years. 116 West Wanley in the corner of Wanley and Bridge. When you go downtown to plead with PD over your ticket, walk right across the street to the beautiful, friendly confines of Chestnut
down
Furniture.
Main, hang it right on one lane, you're there.
You'll find out why folks have said for years, you just always do better at Chestnut, and why we coined the phrase, Chestnut and love, make your house a home. Tomorrow is called a Wednesday.
It is called a Wednesday.
Great one. Chestnut and love, make your
It's
house
also, I believe, VISD Thanksgiving lunch with kids, so I will be enjoying turkey and dressing with my grandson tomorrow.
I tell you, I saw Graydon, and what's the little baby's name?
Marley.
I saw them with Tyler at HEB the other day.
You did not tell me, no.
Graydon, he's not shy.
Oh, no.
He's just a good judge of character, so he doesn't talk to me much. And I said to him, I go, hey, buddy, and he gave me nucks, and he goes, I fell and hit my head. Look, they had put some glue.
Yeah.
It laid him open pretty good, folks, like a half an inch. But they put this glue on. It was like purple glue. And
no, that's the bruising.
No, Tyler goes, he's not really that bruised. Just I said, is that what you told CPS? I'm like, come on.
That's the Violetta.
Yeah, I said, well, fell and whacked his head.
Yep. No, that's what happens.
It's tough being a kid, but he's a tough kid. And boy, they're pretty kids.
That's the second whack.
Pretty kids.
That's the second whack on his head that
Look
he's
at that.
taken.
Melissa just a little flirty
Mark.
there.
Yeah. Thank you.
That's probably not Mark. That's not Mark.
Thank you. I appreciate
Grandkids
that.
looking good, Ash.
Thank you.
I went in yesterday to Paravita. They tried to hand me your bag.
Uh-oh.
And I said, don't you recognize I'm the older, taller, better-looking version of Ash? She goes, oh, I'm sorry. I get y'all confused. I go, you're the only one. I'm the bad guy. He's the good guy.
I wouldn't go that far.
We flipped a coin, and that's
the role we took. Yeah. So, so our own intelligence services yesterday basically came out and said Hamas is hiding.
Thanks, Adam. I didn't sniff the kids. No. I gave him nucks. I didn't.
Well, because you can't be within arm's reach.
Yeah. Well, I'm not allowed within 200 feet of a Chuck E. Cheese or
Peter
school.
Piper or Mr. Gaddy's.
Yeah.
So our own intelligence services yesterday come out and say, yeah, you know what? Well, let me back up. We have laws against what Hamas is doing in the Gaza Strip.
Correct.
Using people as shields, hiding amongst schools and hospitals. We have federal laws. The Biden administration has not charged Hamas with violating any of those or even sanctioned them as our laws would allow. So yesterday, our own intelligence sources come out and verified that Hamas is hiding in hospitals. They have tunnels underneath, and I think what's the major hospital there? I don't remember the name of it. But anyway, then we find out they're also using a children's hospital as a shield. And the Biden administration has done nothing. So our own intelligence verifies this. An hour later, your president,
right, Joe Biden, creepy Joe,
is telling Israel publicly that they need to avoid the hospitals.
Even though they admit that they're hiding there. Here's my take on this, folks. I just want to give you like a little perspective on this. We want, if you're anti-terrorism, I'm not even saying if you're pro-Israel. If you're anti-terrorism and you're saying that Hamas needs to go, it's real easy to use words like thuggery and that they're terrorists and that they're using human shields and all that. And it's real easy in your mind to paint the IDF and to paint the Jewish side of it as being very westernized. They're like us. They're in police uniforms and everybody knows who's everybody. I'm going to break your bubble a little bit and tell you they're both probably pretty thuggerish. Okay? It just happens to be they're our brand of thuggery. I have a feeling that a lot of what we accuse Hamas of doing, the Israelis are probably doing too. You think not?
So, no. They didn't violate the ceasefire.
Well, there you go. No, don't get me wrong. Hamas has it coming. And I don't think Israel's going to stop. I think you're going to see Hamas eradicated. They're going to kill them all.
They're making pretty good headway from some reports that I heard this morning.
They will beat them all down, and then you know what they'll do? Then they'll own Gaza, and then they'll give it back to them. They'll give it back to them.
Well, but it's not about peace for Hamas.
No, it's just another battle for them because their only purpose is to eradicate the Jews.
Yep. The world was against the genocide in the former Yugoslavia in the 90s. Now the left in the world just stands for it. This is the only democracy in the Middle East, a region that is known to violate the human rights of women, gays, now children, because they're using children's hospitals as a shield in Gaza.
But Iran's in charge of the human rights side of things. Come on, man. I think you're just behind the times.
And anybody that doesn't walk lockstep with the radical Islamists in charge of Hamas. And by the way, I've heard that the Palestinian people themselves providing a lot of ground intel to the IDF because they're fed up with Hamas, which is good. By the way, the three leaders of Hamas, the top three dogs in Hamas,
they're in Qatar.
Take a
right?
while, probably. Take a while. Well, yeah. And I think way back when in 2008 they were using the basement of the hospital as their headquarters. So there you go. Take a wild guess what their net worth is while they let the people in Gaza, the Palestinians that they supposedly represent, live in squalor.
They get all their power from Israel. They get all their water from Israel, get all their fuel and food from Israel. They're worth $11 billion.
$11 billion combined net worth. Where do you think that money came from? Mostly the
Probably
Western
US
world.
Aid, U.S. aid to the Palestinians.
Absolutely.
These three clowns siphoned it off and went and lived in, drive around in Rolls Royces.
Johnny Houghton says $7 billion.
Yeah. Well, Johnny
11.
They may have spent $4 on advertising.
Paying off the Hillary Clintons of the world to speak nicely about them. But yeah, $11 billion. You think they're paying their fair share in taxes?
No, and this is not going to go away. It's not. No. It's not going to go away. So I had a guy tell me the other day. We were visiting about. When do you know that if you're an end times type person, when do you know it's the end times? I was told that if you ever see Israel back in, the Wailing Wall is as close as the Jews are allowed to get to the old Dome of the Rock where the original temple was built. And for those that believe at all, the Bible says that the temple will be rebuilt, which means at some point Israel will have control of that property. And if Israel ever gets control of that property, you better start looking at the sky.
Well,
it's coming.
Is it the end times when the Pope removes a Texas bishop from his diocese in Tyler, Bishop Strickland, turfed by the Pope?
Is turfed a term? I didn't know what that meant.
Fired, canned.
But
might be a Canadian term.
Is that your word? Turf.
That might be a Canadian term.
There you go. Sacked.
Sure. Fired.
Cut.
Released of duties.
Does that mean he's not holy anymore?
Forced into retirement. Well, and he shared his side of the story yesterday with.
Interesting.
And basically said it was because, and I'm sure there's more to it because the Pope hasn't said anything.
Well, the Pope doesn't have to, right?
No, and I don't even think he did the dirty work himself. He actually called the Cardinal down in Galveston to do the work for him. But then again, the Pope is God's representative to the people, and the Cardinals, and then the Pope.
I get lost on the depth chart.
Yeah.
I don't know if he was
is
he a coordinator.
The Pope is Dak, and the Cardinal is Cooper Rush.
So God is Jerry Jones, and the Pope is Mike McCarthy or Stephen Jones.
No, Stephen Jones would be Jones would be
Holy Spirit
Jesus
on the right hand of the Father.
Yes.
I'm just trying to work it out for our Cowboys fans. We can figure out the hierarchy of the Catholic Church.
But anyway, Bishop Strickland yesterday basically came out and said that he believes he was turfed, fired, demoted, cut, released because he was teaching the Bible.
Oh, there's no place
as the Bible's written, not as Pope Francis has reinterpreted it. Those might be pretty strong words.
Yeah, that's. But I don't.
Adam Sugar says McCarthy's not God.
You know,
that's Jerry Jones. Jerry Jones will tell you he's got more money than God.
If you can't trash the boss and keep your job, that's what Steve Kidder says. But if you spend enough time here, certainly if you're in Victoria, you have lots of Catholic friends, and I think our Catholic friends have had to have somewhat of a sense of humor the last decade or so. We don't bemoan all of the issues that face the Catholic Church. I don't think that's the purpose of this program, but it is undeniable that the Catholic Church, watch out for that, the Catholic Church of today is not the Catholic Church you grew up with. It's and we say that God is the same today, yesterday, and for always. And if your church evolves, then you got to wonder if it used to be closer to God or if it's closer to God now. So you got to figure out what's going on when your religion evolves into the church of what's happening now. And then when you've got people that speak in the name of the church, When you've got guys that want to be associated with the church when it suits their needs, a la Joe Biden. I'm a good Catholic boy from Scranton.
He had been the Bishop of Tyler since 2012.
There you go.
And according to Catholic News,
I mean, being a bishop's a big deal. You've been vetted.
Yeah, Strickland tells Catholic News, I can't really look to any reason except I've threatened some of the powers that be with the truth of the gospel. So there you go.
There you go.
And what he sees as attacks on the teachings of the Catholic Church to his sizable social media following. So there you go. It's all social media these days.
Be careful.
Kelly Frommy asked, did you read about Secret Service protecting Biden's granddaughter in D.C.?
Although it wasn't.
They were assigned to his granddaughter, and the headlines were a little bit misleading. But apparently in Washington, D.C., what happened was overnight, Secret Service members saw somebody trying to break into the Secret Service vehicle.
Yeah, she was not in the vehicle.
No.
When you read the headline, you picture her stopping at a stop sign and guys come out and start attacking the SUV. The Suburban was parked over on the side of the road, and the girls, the granddaughter was out. She's a grown woman. They were out with a group of people, and the Secret Service gentlemen were, sipping a latte at a curbside place, and they look over and there's some guys trying to break into their Suburban. I do find it interesting that they opened fire on them. You want to talk about being somewhat above the law. If you come out of Walmart and someone's breaking into your car, be very careful shooting at them. Be very, very careful. I'm not telling you not to go up and use your concealed weapon and say, stop, or I'll kill you. But doing so will lead to reams of paperwork.
Well, a police officer
would not have fired at those guys.
Probably
no way.
No.
Would not have unholstered his weapon over that.
Kelly Frommy adds, then when they were shot at the thugs, no one was even hit.
That's interesting too. Those
they're back at Quantico today.
Yeah,
passing their marksman test.
That's interesting because you know what it tells me is if I shoot at something and don't hit my target, I could hit something else, someone else through an office window, whatever. D.C. is a very crowded place. Very interesting. Yeah,
well, it makes me wonder: was the gun full of blanks?
Well, you do have to wonder.
Adam Sugar says you can't even pop a shot at someone trespassing on your land these days.
Well, you can, but you need to have a backhoe.
Oh, yeah, you better have a good story at least.
Yeah, just
if you're going to pop a shot at them, make sure you get them so that they can't tell a story.
Absolutely. You only want one story at the courthouse, and then you have what you do is you bury them where the rose bushes are. It really makes them bloom huge.
Big. They end up looking like peonies.
Oh, I got a buddy that used to, when we would go fishing, he would take the redfish carcasses and bury it underneath his roses, and it was unbelievably noticeable. I mean, it just really, really made a difference.
We didn't eat catfish back home. We used to put them in the garden and rototill them in.
Nice.
There you go. Yeah. We didn't want to taste that mud.
Right. Better call Saul, says Steve Kidder. Steve Saul Kidder.
Oh, man. Take our final break?
Sure.
And bring it home for the people?
Palace Bingo, what? 2 nights from tonight.
2 nights from tonight.
Where friends meet friends. Be at Palace Bingo. Tammy Keeley, come to Palace Bingo. We'll talk about sources.
Before you get there, stop by the Gray Barn Mercantile because Thursday night in the Town and Country Center is Sip and Shop. So you can enjoy a casual shopping experience at the Gray Barn.
Come to
lots of Christmas stuff,
at
least with a good buzz.
There you go.
Make sure somebody else does the driving, but stop on by the Gray Barn for Christmas decor, home decor.
Safety message brought to you by Wade & Carter.
Loungewear for the ladies. They've got kids wear as well. Lots of great things. Yeah, it's nice stuff. Soft. Ladies, you want something soft against your skin this year? Under the tree? Get to the Gray Barn.
Dial 1-900-ASH.
That's an offer. South Texas tradition since 1926.
What are you wearing?
Onesie with a butt flap.
Hello, this is Ash. What are you wearing? You dialed 1-900-ASH. That's an offer. South Texas tradition since 1926.
I don't have OnlyFans. I have OnlyFan.
OnlyFan.
Me.
Just
me.
Just talk to yourself. What are you wearing? Hey, nothing. Hey. Can we hurry? I've only got $5 on my card. Oh, that's an offer for Chevys, Mazdas, Mitsubishis, whatever you need, they've got it. And I'm just telling you, if you need something, go by and they'll help you find it.
I'm going to service all makes and models, by the way.
Reach out to them. Armor Air 579-0966.
Did a great job for you.
They did a great job for me, solved my problem, identified a problem, and then it happened to be covered by a home warranty. So they identified the problem, and then they're going to help me solve it. So great job by those guys. And then the chopping block, just in time for the holidays. You can buy your turkey there. You can buy your ham there. Chopping block's perfect.
They've got Rosewood Ranch's Chuck roasts on sale right now. They're very good in the oven or in an Instapot. So John Turner there loves that Chuck roast.
Yep, absolutely. Get by the chopping block this week.
And they've still got briskets for $10.99 and $8.99, depending on which one you want. And their prime St. Louis ribs are $6.99 a pound this week at the chopping block. So stop on by. And what's today? Tuesday? I bet you they've got their chopped brisket sandwiches available at the food truck. So, yeah, get on by.
There.
Oh, Adam.
What?
He says he was out on the soft skin of ash, but when I mentioned I was wearing a onesie with a butt flap, it brought him back in.
See, he was a Marine, but it's a division of the Navy. Okay.
Steve Kidder says the last 15 minutes is always the best.
Here you are. We're here for you.
Yeah, let's see what else.
Give us a subject, and we will roll with it. Not that we don't have things to talk about. Just give us a subject.
I know what I was. This brings up something. It's the Epic Times is a headline, the surprising impact of RFK Jr.'s independent run, because I'm going to find, I emailed this to you the other day.
I'm sure I ignored it. I said, you swipe,
yeah.
delete.
Well, a Morning Consult Bloomberg News poll.
Oh, yeah, Trump leads by even more when you throw in the RFK factor.
Yeah. Trump is leading in Pennsylvania by 3, North Carolina by 9, Arizona by 4, Georgia by 7, Nevada by 3, Wisconsin is pretty much a toss-up. And Trump and Biden are neck and neck in Michigan. There's been a lot of speculation by the media, and you and I have wondered on this show how RFK would pull Republican voters away from Donald Trump, because we just don't see it. Other than the COVID thing, that's right. It. That might be the only thing.
It's long enough ago. Nobody really cares anymore about COVID.
And it doesn't matter. I think Donald Trump has learned his lesson. And he will not go for any more COVID spending, and you will not see any pressure from the federal government if Donald Trump wins to lock down in the face of the next pandemic that will be coming, mostly because what he's going to do is clean house of the swamp this time around.
Scott Tomko says Ash is making it a point now to lead with the source.
Well, no, I do source my polls because most of the polls are conducted by leftist media organizations.
There you go.
So when the RFK factor is added into those equations, Trump's lead doesn't diminish or get smaller. It
bigger.
Actually grows. And in some of the polls, RFK Jr. is pulling 10, 11, 9, 8% of Democrats away. So Donald Trump.
Those are the people who don't want to vote for Trump but can't imagine 4 more years of Biden. That's who they are.
Yeah.
They're like, Donald Trump is a nut job, and he's a misogynistic harasser of women. He's been convicted of sexually abusing someone. He's a terrible businessman, but I ain't voting for that idiot Biden, so I'll vote for this RFK Jr. guy. Yeah. That's a nice name, RFK Jr.
Yeah. Interestingly enough, there are some – Trump's numbers do go down in a couple of the polls, but his lead widens, which is interesting. So Kennedy is pulling off, except in some states. Kennedy's not pulling off any Trump supporters. Georgia, Nevada, Wisconsin. So it's interesting, but it makes a difference.
Says, let's talk about the teachers with OnlyFans accounts. What do you make of these? There was a teacher. We've seen it with healthcare workers too, which I find is interesting. I find it very interesting that a hospital would somehow want to take some high moral ground if a nurse wanted to have an OnlyFans account. For those of you that don't know, and I've never been on OnlyFans, I haven't, but my understanding is from numerous sources is that OnlyFans is a place that you can subscribe to. And I don't know if you subscribe to individual accounts on there, but people get paid for doing crazy stuff like filming their pedicures, like any little fetish thing you can think of. It is, really, I might be able to start one and make a buck for exfoliating my elbow. There's weird people out there that get, as you know, there's people that think they're cats. So at any rate, there was a school teacher a while back that had an OnlyFans account, and she was making like 6 figures on her OnlyFans account.
Why would you keep teaching?
And the district called her in and said, we want you to cancel your account. And she said, no, I'd rather cancel teaching, but I like teaching. I'm on time. I'm sober. I'm not a alcoholic or a drug-addicted person.
I'm not selling drugs to the kids.
I like working with the kids. What I'm doing is legal, and it's my First Amendment freedom of free speech right. I'm not breaking any laws.
Might be violating a conduct clause in the contract.
I don't know. But you know what that is? That you can't legislate morality. So Joe Cheney says 2 of these people are from the same school. Do they interact together? And if they do they split the money, or is one of them, like if me and Ash had an OnlyFans account, I mean, we would split it 50-50, but I don't know who's doing all the work because, I mean, he talks about the lazy dog. I don't want to be a part of that. I don't know where you draw the line on this stuff. Very interesting.
I don't know either. Did they ever draw the line when if
Playboy
would have had a hot teacher's edition, would they have been fired?
I see. I don't know. But here's the deal. You've got to be 18, right, to go on to OnlyFans. So it should have no effect on children.
Some high school seniors. But if you're not teaching high school, what does it matter?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. Who said that? Our right there. Melissa Hanson. Wow, good to know. Our hours are about to be cut here at work. There you go.
There you go.
Little OnlyFans.
Roy Gutierrez says...
that's Little Brown Taco, for those of you that don't know.
Says that Tim Scott has dropped out of the race. Apparently this shocked everybody.
Well,
he didn't really talk about it with anybody.
President.
Yeah.
He was polling 1% like Kamala Harris. The next thing you know, he'll be the VP.
I thought he was polling better than Chris Christie, yet Chris Christie still remains. The only reason Chris Christie's in the running is because those who hate Trump are funding his campaign because he attacks Trump on the daily.
But you know what? When you listen to Chris Christie, except for the fact that he's so unlikable, a lot of the stuff he says makes sense.
Nah, not really.
No?
I don't think so. He's so anti-Trump.
Well, he's scared of the Donald.
But I was surprised
lately on Donald Trump's trial.
Well, no, but you won't hear about it because they're into the defense portion of the trial now, and that's just not good because that would actually show they would have to report on the things that Donald Trump actually did. That would bolster his case in the media, so you're not going to hear about any of it.
I don't remember the presidential race.
They'll wait till closing arguments.
But remember the comment that was made years ago about it's the economy, stupid. Remember that? Here they were talking about some presidential, candidate. I'm at the point now where everybody there is so tainted that all I want is the guy that handles foreign affairs and the economy and the military and the border the way I want. They are all effectively oligarchs. They're all out for their family wealth. You got Trump employing all of his own kids, and we can make all the arguments we want. We can make all the arguments. Well, at least they had a job. Hunter's just hanging around the White House. Okay.
Well, they all took pay cuts.
Okay. That's fine. But we can make all of that.
Although we have pointed out, rightfully so, that Trump got $3 billion from the Saudis in the Live Tour after.
Yeah, well, yeah, he rented them hotels for, it's all just graft and corruption. But if you ask me to put Trump and the left on a board and say border, Trump, economy, Trump, China, Trump, Russia, Trump, North Korea, Trump,
world peace.
That's where I align politically. So I'm saying I'll take this flawed person over this flawed ideology, because the left is just wrong. Period.
Absolutely.
So I don't know how you fix it. And if you don't think they're wrong, I read a deal on Twitter yesterday. This guy was some kind of a senior consultant, MSNBC or whatever. And this guy, I'm not trying to source him officially. Mark Levin calls it
MSLSD?
Yeah, and this guy said, we, meaning the media, we've got to do a better job of dispelling the statements that the economy is not doing good and that the border is a problem. Because the economy is doing fine and the border is under control. Now, if you believe that, then vote for Biden, because they believe that.
One of them said, don't blame inflation, blame high prices. Huh?
Why do you have high prices? Inflation?
No. That's not the case
corporate
anymore.
greed. It's because too many fat cats are making too much money. That's what it is.
So,
Unbelievable.
quick FSB, First State Bank, Astros update. By all accounts, Joe Espada, popular choice as manager and the right choice. So we will see how things go. But the players apparently love the choice, as does most of the baseball world. So I'm hopeful. Jim Crane hasn't made many moves that have not panned out, so I'm hoping this is the one that gets them back to the World Series and World Series
I watched
champions.
the press conference yesterday because I'm addicted to the Astros, and Dana Brown said, "This is without a doubt the most important hire of my career." And when Joe Espada spoke,
he's not even entering his second full year yet.
Yes, because he's been GM in other places, in Atlanta, right?
Assistant, I think, wasn't he?
Well, he made the comment to Espada that he's very proud of the choice he made. I find it. I found his sincerity worth mentioning when Espada said, "I prayed about this. My family and I have prayed about this. I'm equal to the task. I know I'm ready. I couldn't be more proud to be a part of this organization. I cannot wait to get started." And I think there is nothing. I'm not comparing and contrasting him with Dusty Baker. Dusty did yeoman's work. But to have a young, spirited, and Latino manager who can relate to these players, who can, I'm telling you, he was the manager for Team Puerto Rico. Yeah. This guy knows it. And
I just hope he didn't pray to the Bishop of Tyler.
Well, I hope not too, because, we'll just leave it at that. See y'all tomorrow, folks.
Bye,
Have
folks.
a great day.
The city truck and turned it over in the mayor's yard. Beat my brother-in-law half to death. Lost $20 on his football bet. But other than that,